Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I wanted to show you how to map your HOTAS so you can use it in Star Wars Starfighter. I don't know if you guys remember this game, but it came out in 2001. It was super awesome. I was 11 at the time and me and my brother played it on the original Xbox and we really enjoyed it. It's a game that's not favored nowadays like some of the other Star Wars games. And this came out right around the same time as when the Microsoft Sidewinder was really popular, and they were really pushing that with a lot of games. Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator, MechWarrior 3, this game, I mean, they incorporated that thing into as many games as they could, and it was fucking awesome. MechWarrior 3 was the shit. I bought that game off eBay not too long ago. But you can see here when we go into the options and the configure options, like this game was made with the intent of people using a hands-on throttle and stick to play it. So they actually created a basic system that would let you use your hands-on throttle and stick, which there's games that come out now that don't even have support for that. So I'm going to share with you kind of the story of how I figured out how to map this and go in there and change your controls and make it so it would work with your Saitek X52. But if you're just looking to get your HOTAS to work with the game, then there's timestamps in the description and you can jump ahead to when I start. I have seen a lot of people having issues not being able to map their HOTAS to the game, especially with the one that I have, the Saitek X52. Other people rocking different hands-on throttle and stick systems have been able to just plug and play. So I did want to try and find a way that I could use mine, and seeing that it is a problem for other people, it would be nice to kind of figure it out. So holy shit, I did not realize how crazy this would be. So look at this. I went through mostly Reddit forums and Steam forums, and I kind of cracked the code and figure out exactly what I had to do. So yeah, I'll be coming back to a couple of these forums, and you know, people on the internet are just fucking awesome. I wouldn't have been able to do this without people posting all of this stuff. So the first thing that I tried to do was just treat it like I did any other remapping where the game doesn't register that you're using a hands-on throttle and stick. That's usually the biggest issue you run into. So I took this keyboard layout right here. Usually you can just map the HOTAS to input keyboard functions, and that's kind of a quick way to get around. So I went through the whole hassle of taking the keyboard and then mapping it to the throttle and stick, so that way I could play the game like normal. But the big issue was that it was still registering that I had the hands-on throttle and stick. So it wasn't taking the keyboard inputs over the throttle and stick controls. So I had to figure out a way to change this right here. So it was defaults. It was like this. When you plug your throttle and stick into the computer, every button kind of has a number. So if we come over here and look at this, you can see that this is button 5, button 4, button 3, button 2. The secondary hat switch right here that's on the top, it's buttons 20, 21, 22, and 23. So each button has a button number. And this Reddit post used to have it. This Reddit post is from 4 years ago, and it used to have the image right here. It was exactly the one I had, the gray and black Saitek X52, and I never saved an image of it because it was always right there. I just always had it bookmarked. But I went in there to make this video, and the image was broken. I was so upset. So I reached out to the original poster, and then I reached out to this guy who posted the original link. I reached out to both of them about a post that's 4 years old, and they both responded to me in the same day and helped out how they could. The original poster was super friendly and nice, and he posted this link on there because the other one was broken, which I had already found that one, but it wasn't the same. I think this one's a model behind the one that I have. And the original one that I had, I swear that it had 4 button numbers on this POV hat switch. I could be remembering wrong, but this was close enough. So each one of these buttons has a number, and then it has the the axis letters. So like X and Y, and then the rudder is going to be RZ, and then the throttle axis right here is Z. So this image is super helpful and necessary for getting that done. But so this is the generic basic map that it tried to give me. So fire lasers was button 1, which that worked. Button 2 secondary, all right, that's not too bad. 3 is boost. but then you click on it, see it just changes the slider, because you can have your slider be your boost and your brake, but I think that the slider is right here. So it was just super difficult and super frustrating trying to figure out how to do this, but I'm going to show you how I did it. Wherever you save the game to, or whatever hard drive that is, mine's on my secondary hard drive, and your Steam library, Steam apps, common, and then the game, Star Wars Starfighter, and install, and then controllers. Here's all the pre-made little profiles that already come with the game. Configure game controller. These files are all for other versions. Like, see, here's all the Sidewinder ones and the Logitech Wingman. These ones must have been major competitors that people were using when the game first came out. So just take one of these, like this 11 button one, and just copy it on your desktop. That's what we're gonna need. So we can right click it and hit the open with, and then you can hit more apps, and that's how you can get to this notepad. I've done it recently. If you always want to open these kind of files with notepad, you can. I never do. So here we can read it. So this is how controller configuration is set. So some of those other tabs that I showed you, these were some people on the Steam forums sharing theirs, but none of them were exactly right or exactly what I wanted, so I needed to figure out how to do this. And that's when I came across this guy who was mapping it for his Xbox 360 controller, and he was showing you how he did everything. And so what I needed right here was this. This was exactly what I needed. So we can see that all of this shit matches up. Like, so this command right here is going to be my fire lasers, secondary. Like, you can go back and forth and see that there's a spot for everything. Boost, brake, roll, turn left, pitch up and down. Perfect. So this was exactly what I was looking for. Thank you for whoever posted this. Right here, Mr. Druck. Thank you. He put something important that's right here. The number in parentheses indicate this. Basically, they are off by 1. So I noticed that I had to do that when I made mine. I had to offset it by 1 for whatever reason. I don't know. But he told me, I did it, and it worked. So I'm happy. So I'm going to show you all how I mapped it. So just pop this open, notepad. So here's the 11 button one that we stole. So using these clues, so we can go ahead and map this exactly how we want it. So the 1023, that's our fire lasers. We're going to want that to number 1. And remember how in the forum he said that the numbers were off by 1? Came in handy. This is exactly where that's going to come into play. We want it to be button 1, we just set it 0. Like, you'll see, once we load it up in the game, it'll be right how we want it. So then the secondary fire, that's for like our missiles and shit. I do want that at this button, number 4. So we're just going to leave that as 3 how it is. 1025 and 1026, those are your boost and brake. And we're actually going to apply those down here. So it's on one of the axes right here, the throttle axis. So we can just change this to 255. I don't know why, but whenever I've seen someone else's profile, the buttons that they don't use, they have them set as 255. I don't know if that's because it registers a different input, but that's just the way that I've seen it. So that's the way that we're going to do it, because we don't want to break anything. So 255 if you want to leave it blank. So 1027, that's a roll modifier. That's if like we're flying and we go upside down and we want to use the cheat button to get perfectly horizontal again. I'm just going to set that to button 7. I like that one right here on my thumb for when I'm boosting and braking. So we'll set that one to number 7, meaning we'll have to put 6. So then 1028, the auto target, there's a button right here on the top that you can smack with your index finger super easily. And that is button 8. So we're going to change this to 7. And then 1029, I did want to put this one on my POV hat, but I only have it set up as a 4-way instead of an 8-way, because sometimes the 8-way doesn't work exactly how you want it to. So I'm just going to put it to this button right here, Joy 2. I don't like to flip this button up to shoot my secondary missile, because I have to put my thumb way up there, and I'm not Maverick or anything. That's why I put my secondary to just button number 4. But right here, so button number 2, we'll put this as report in, because I do want it. And that is button number 2, so we will change that to 1. And then 1030, that's your zoom. I like that to be this button right here, right on the left. And that's button number 5, so we'll change this to 4. So then these next 4 ones, this is where I'll use the POV hat switch. So my cover me, I actually want that as POV left. And then 1032 manual target, I want that as POV right. 1033 is defend target, and I would prefer that to be down. And then 1034 is attack, so we'll change that to up. So change your view, that's to like go from third person to first person, where you're inside the cockpit or, you know, flying right behind the ship. And I'll just change that one to button 3. So we'll change it to 2. And then 1036, that's pause. My throttle on the stick is right next to the keyboard, so I'll leave that blank. So I'm going to put it 255. I tried to assign it to this button right here, button number 31. Do you remember when I said earlier that this hat stick used to have button numbers in the other picture? Well, yeah, when I set it to button 31, when I would do the hat stick down, it would pause the game. I changed it to button 30 just to experiment, and when I pushed it right, it would pause it as well. So I think this hat is buttons like 28, 29, 30, and 31. I could be wrong, but I think that this image is for an older model, so some of the numbers are different, but just trial and error. This definitely helped out though, because most of these buttons are correct. But I could be just crazy in that picture that I saw earlier. But this definitely helped out, and most of the buttons are exactly what it says because they are super similar models. But whenever I was pushing down, when I had it programmed to button 31, it would pause, so I just took it off because I can just hit escape to pause real quick if something happens where I need to pause the game. So then 1037, turn left and turn right, that's going to be your rudder. Twist the joystick left and right. So just change that to RZ to set it to the rudder. And then pitch up and down, that's of course just your Y axis. And then 1039, boost and brake, that's your Z axis right here. So change that to capital Z. So if you had 255 here, on 1039, you would want your boost and brake to be 225 and 226, but since those are nothing, we can set it to this down here. And then your roll is, of course, left and right with the joystick, your x-axis. So right there, boom, we have this mapped pretty much how we want. We only have one button we didn't use, the pause button. I'll link all this stuff in the description, so feel free to use these images to help you out, so you can map it in case you want the buttons laid out a little differently. But hopefully this helps out a bunch of people because it's just really old software that we're dealing with, so we have to change the GCM file since it is actually registering that we do have a hands-on throttle and stick system, where usually the game doesn't register. We have one. So super old game, still registering our stuff. That's pretty cool. We're going to want to go ahead and save this when we're done. We're just going to save it right to our desktop. Starfighter controls. So here it is, right here, Starfighter controls. So there is one thing that we're going to need to do, because it is a .txt file. And so we need to change it from a text file to a GCM file. That way the game thinks that it's a controller profile. Really easy way to do this, we'll need to go to the bottom here and just type in file options. And what we're going to be looking for is this right here, File Explorer options. And then what we're going to be looking for is just this view right here. And right here, this hide extensions for known file types, just uncheck that. Click apply, and then hit OK. So now when we go back into our desktop, see how this is still a .txt file? Just go to rename it, change it from a text file to a GCM file. It'll warn you that it might become unstable, but you saw how easy it was for us to create, so if it did become unstable, we could just remake it. So change that, and then you can go back in to file options, and you can just re-enable that hide. Real quick, boom. So now, Starfighter controls. This folder right here is the controllers in the Steam library, Steam apps, common, Starfighter, installer controls. Take the Starfighter one from our desktop and just move it over into controllers. So now, we can hop in here. And this is actually it, but we'll change it to the defaults. So this is how it'll be if you have it. You click load, and then it should pull up that file where we saved everything. And right here, here's the one that we made, Starfighter controls. And now we can see all our work. Remember that first one we set to 0? See, now it's 1. Now you know what I'm talking about. So this should be perfectly set up exactly how we just made it. And you can go back through and use like this image. I'll have, you know, the post linked in there as well. And you can use this to map yours if you want it a little differently. So all you have to do is click apply, and we're golden. Hit OK, go back. Let's test this puppy out.
All right, Dallas. Now let's see how you deal with my favorite training cane.
See, so now let's test everything. Alright, X works, button works.
I assume you've read the combat manual.
Oh shit. Boosting the brake work. So this button works, we can do that. We don't have any missiles right now. But there's our third person view. And the rudder is working just fine. So this is that stabilizer button. In case you get like this, you just push the button and it cheats you right back to where you need to be.
Set my first target for me. Let's get those mines.
The mines will explode if you get too close.
Oh shit, too much wrist. Yeah, what a great game this was. We can't test the hat buttons work yet, but I actually programmed the lasers to the POV up position, and they all worked perfectly. So the POV up down works. So now that we've got this tested, just get out there and start enjoying the game. So that's it, my friends. I hope this kind of helped to understand how to break down and make a GCM file for Starfighter. I mean, this was probably the same process for a few other games. But now you know how to map it and do it. I will have this GCM document on my Discord. So there you have it, my friends. I hope you can now use your X52 or your HOTAS in Star Wars Starfighter now that we know how to map it to all the correct paths. But I've been having a shitload of fun with it. Hope you guys enjoy playing this classic. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I was 11 when it came out. It was fucking Star Wars. We were flying and being pilots. Shit was awesome. It was on sale for like $4, so why the hell not? And now I can use my hands-on throttle and stick with it too, so it's fucking awesome. Thank you to anyone and everyone who is sharing information on forums. Reddit, Steam, wherever. I've come across so many just trying to dig this up. None of these would have been possible without any of these great heroes just posting helpful shit or questions online and other people being helpful. I just came across all these and pieced all the information together. So anyone sharing information, answering questions, being helpful, that shit helps tremendously. I'm going to be sharing this with a few people who are asking about it on the forums, but I will also have the profile that I just made on my Discord server if you'd rather just take it from there than try to make it yourself. The link is in the description. We talk about Knights of the Old Republic mostly and post cat pictures. It's pretty cool. Again, thank you to everyone who uses the internet. You guys all made this possible. Just sharing this information online. I can't express how fucking awesome it is that, you know, I figured this out thanks to everyone else. It's so cool. Be sure to reach out if you have any questions or issues, and I'll do my best to reach out either in the comments or on my Discord server. If you guys see that picture that I was talking about of the Saitek X52 where it shows all the buttons and what numbers they are, if you see that, send it to me. I'll be eternally grateful. But I hope you guys all enjoyed the video and looking back at this classic game that came out and seeing how you can play it. And, you know, if you guys can find a cheap hand throttle and stick, or you have one laying around in your closet or whatnot, every time they do a huge sale on Steam, it's on sale for like $3 or $4. So pick it up. I'm probably going to be giving away some copies of it. I really enjoyed this. I love doing this kind of shit, so really glad I was able to make a video about it, and hopefully this will help out a bunch of people. Be sure to throw a like up on the video if this helped you out. Get subscribed if you're not already so you can be notified of future content as it comes out. I still have a few more Knights of the Old Republic projects in the work, and a different one that I'm super excited for. I appreciate you all coming to check out the video. We'll see you in the next one.